Time for more analysis on the Epstein files. Let's turn to Mindy Gulati. She is CEO of Fundamental Advisory and a criminal defense attorney. Thank you so much, Mindy, for joining us.
Thank you. Happy to be here with you all.
We just heard about those protests in New Delhi. Indians obviously upset with hearing the prime minister's name appearing in those files. So from a crisis perspective, what do you make of the reaction happening inside of these different countries, and what could happen as more information is released?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is a lot of information around Epstein, the people that he worked with, the folks that associated themselves with him. It's been around for a long time. However, I think we're meeting an inflection point where people want answers, and they know that they have not been given a transparent story. They know that key figures are being hidden. And the international impact isn't about suddenly discovering that these folks are involved or discovering criminal cases. It's about institutional credibility and elite accountability. And whether it's in the United States, UK, India, what we're seeing is the public wants answers, and they want to know who is really running our institutions. And it seems a lot more complex than any of us have been allowed to know about. And as more and more information comes around and we're globally connected and we're able to get perspectives from around the world, I do think people are coming together to demand that we get the real answers as to what has been going on, the cover-ups, the schemes, lying to the public, and also really the horrific actions of these men toward children, little girls and little boys, not only in the United States, but across the globe.
Right. I mean, you make an interesting point, an important one about the scope of it all. There's pressure, as we heard, for the UK Prime Minister to resign. They're talking about the royal family, King Charles facing new pressure to do more in light of his brother's involvement. So the enormity of Epstein's international ties, it seems to be growing by the day, or the revelations seem to be growing by the day.
Yeah. I mean, the impact is pretty catastrophic. I think people who have stayed in tuned with this story knew that it was big, but I don't think any of us quite understood the extent. I think people knew that there was something going on for there to be this much resistance to releasing the files. Hey, if people are running criminal enterprises, we want to know and take care of it. I think most people in the United States want our laws to be used in order to prosecute those who have been, harming our communities. But I think what this is showing is that leaders in the world, they have a high ethical obligation to all of us. And a lot of them use that standing and use their influence to really create a lot of harm in their communities. And I think it's just so shocking how vast this is. It's touching almost every end of the earth. But what we're seeing is some of the most powerful men in the world have been at least mentioned in the files, if not directly implicated in what was going on with Jeffrey Epstein. And I think as more and more information gets released, we're going to be able to start to put these pieces of the puzzle together. And I would say in the United States, there's definitely a different tone, I would say in the last 48 hours, as Republicans and Democrats have been allowed to see more of the unredacted files. I would say it's palpable. The feeling in the air is palpable that we are really uncovering probably one of the most historic criminal conspiracies and just incredibly horrific acts done to children and humans, and we should all really be standing up against that.
So from a legal standpoint, this keeps coming up. What can be done in terms of the victims? A lot of this happened many years ago, and then alongside of that, the legal part of it when it comes to politicians and potential espionage or trade secrets being revealed around the world.
Yeah, I mean, as an attorney, my mind is blowing up at all times thinking about what is going to happen. The complexity is vast. I would say here in the United States, the legal complexity is, in addition to obviously the people involved, our Department of Justice has not been serving the American public by not releasing the files when they were supposed to, in compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Their redactions make no sense. They've also left the names of victims and redacted the names of men who were involved. The FBI has been involved in the redactions and misredactions. I think in terms of what is going to happen legally, it's very complicated and it's going to be really hard to tell. There are statute of limitations requirements in various states in the United States around certain types of cases. Some states do not have statute of limitations for homicide, for murder, which unfortunately we see was taking place according to some of the releases. But a lot of things are beyond the statute of limitations. And then when you get into the international law context, it's hard to know, whether there will be criminal cases. But what I will say is, I'm an attorney. I have been a criminal defense attorney. I've been an attorney for 20 years. And what I would say is sometimes the law is not the best venue for us to seek justice. And it may not be in this case. I think this is a moment in time and in history where we have to figure out as a collective group of people whether we're going to hold people accountable. And we may not be able to hold them accountable through laws, but we may need to hold them accountable through voting, public sentiment, and just the unethical nature of what has been going on. It's mind-boggling. And so that's a hard question to answer of what's going to happen legally. I think lawyers, prosecutors, heads are spinning in terms of how they're going to weave their way through this mess. But what I would say is asking leaders to step down is going to increase both in the United States and abroad, as it should, because not all consequences and accountability can be in the criminal justice system. A lot of it is going to be outside of that in terms of how are these people viewed, and are we going to keep viewing elite folks who use their money, their wealth, power, and influence for really truly evil, when so many people could use their wealth, power, and resources for good. And I think this is the moment for us to choose what we all believe in and where we're going to take this as we go forward.
Mindy Gulati, thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us. Thank you for joining us from Salt Lake City.